Yo, do Americans really care about the royal wedding?
Oh, yes, they do.
Should I care about this?
Yeah, well, I mean, care in what sense, though? That's the thing.
Like, I'm looking all on social media and just in the news, and like this is a thing. Like, mad people care about a big ass wedding happening in another country.
I think there's definitely like layers to why people care. But obviously, like, we're gonna get deeper into that.
Yeah.
I'm saving. Listen, I'm ready for this. I can't lie. I was kind of excited, and I mean, I didn't wake up. I definitely recorded it and then watched it later because I ain't waking up that early just to watch no wedding. But
I woke up and my whole timeline was that like mad people. I didn't know. I didn't know it was that. Last time I even thought about anything like this was like Princess Diana. Like, I didn't think that was still such a big thing. But are men supposed to keep up with this kind of shit? Like, I don't. That's where I guess I'm lost at. Like, I don't know where it's supposed to be, but. I guess
some men, yeah, I guess, because, there's non-straight men care about it. Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
It just depends. But anyway, all right, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone, my name is Erin Ashley Simon.
Brandon Killabh Hall.
Welcome to another episode of Grassroots Podcast.
Yo, real quick before you start. So,
what?
Did you see that I twisted my head like this? Because, like, I felt like it's Brandon Killabh. You get what I'm saying? Like, I tried to put an emphasis because I'm trying to match. We were talking about you earlier.
Brandon Killabh.
Yeah, I'm trying to match your energy. You're always very high and energetic, so I don't have that. So I normally just try to start in and go. I was like, hey, this is Brandon Killabh Hall. I try to put my little spin into it.
Yeah, you be like that. You're looking like one of those newscasters. Like, hey, this is Charles McGumphrey.
Yeah,
watching CBS News.
I was trying. I failed. All right. Everyone's laughing in the room, so I failed. That's fine. Yeah. All right. So school me on this. You are a black woman living in America, living just enough for the city. So tell me why does this matter?
I think this matters because when you always looked at like if you think about it, it's kind of like how when Barack Obama became the president over here, for certain people, not even in the U.S., but even outside, it has that kind of connotation and feeling to it. But I also think it's because we're in such a period of time where there's so much division and this and that, like seeing quote unquote black excellence or seeing, a black woman doing something like this, kind of like infiltrating a royal family, which isn't predominantly white or predominantly black at all. And it's just kind of like, it's great. It's like you want to see this love, this realness. Like, this is love. Yeah. Like, the amazing thing that people have been saying is like Prince Harry and even Prince William, they epitomize Princess Diana. Okay. Princess Diana was shaking hands with HIV and AIDS patients when people thought you can catch it just from touching them. Yeah. And so you know that they've been raised by their mother who believed on just loving people for who they are. I think now we need that. Like, and I think people got excited about it too because obviously she's black and they're just like, yeah, a black person in the royal family. But I think what also is like, there's so much negativity. It's just like, this is positivity. This is pure love. This is what probably Kanye was trying to say, but he failed miserably. Like, this is just pure love.
Do you know how long they've been together?
They've been seeing each other for a while, since she was on Suits.
Okay.
Because I really
know nothing about them. I don't follow it. I think they look great. They look, she looks gorgeous. He looks really good. They look happy. And it looked like the wedding was, a hit outside of just all of the other, things that are right in your face as far as like the environment, the minister that spoke, the band. So, I mean, it looks like they did really well.
I can't lie, like, it was actually pretty dope. Like, I watched a bit of it. Like, they have everything from, like, a black pastor to, they had a black celloist. He's 19 years old. I think his name is, Sekou. I don't know. We're going to put it up on the screen. But they also had a black choir. They had mad black excellence there. They had Oprah. They had Serena Williams, Idris Elba.
Oh, wow. So it was like mad people there.
Yeah. So she really was like bringing like just amazing aspects of her black side there. Sure. And it's great because like it looked like Harry was just like, you know what? I love you. We're going to do what you want to do. And she personally called the cellist, and I'm sure she personally invited the other people, but just like, They said it was probably. I think they said it's like it was the most diverse royal wedding that they've seen, which is amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I was looking at some pictures, but the original picture of him kissing her, it almost looks like he has on a, like, it's not the normal suit that would be worn for a wedding, like a tux.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it looks like a military jacket of sorts.
Yo, I was just waiting for the black pastor to get into it. He like, can I get an amen? Hallelujah. And then they just have the music go, hallelujah.
Oh,
yes.
What's happening right now?
Hallelujah. Like, I was just waiting for all of that.
Wait, can you get back up and do that again?
Yes. Praise the Lord. Jesus Christ. Like, I was waiting for all of that. If that happened, dead ass, I would have been so happy because it was so
royal wedding ever in life.
The royal weddings are so traditional. Like, even the fact that she like brought him in and brought certain aspects in, like, it was such a drastic difference.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yo, if he just broke out into like one of those crazy sermons where you just feeling your body and soul, I'm like, they need that because some of them look like I don't know. Some of them look miserable in their life. They look miserable. They look miserable in their lives out there, and I'm just like, yeah. But you know what? I like it because it's like, and I never really cared about royal weddings. Like, I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't really care about the Prince Williams one. But the reason why I like actually am happy for this is because it just shows you the progress. Like, think about it. These families are very particular with who marries who comes into the family, who gets what position. And these are families that have been ruling for years, decades, generations. And then to see someone come in who's not the typical Duchess or typical princess or anything like that, just come in just off of pure love, like, yo, times are changing. Shit is changing. And I like that. And like it shows that it shows that in life, especially as a woman, you know, there are men who are in higher positions that are going to appreciate women and not like be like, oh, well, you got to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, they'll appreciate the fact that she had her own shit. Yeah. She was an actress. She had her own shit. She was doing a lot of philanthropic things. And I like that. It's like the caliber of women that are starting to get in certain positions. It's like, that's the kind of women that you want people to aspire to be. Yeah. You know, and a lot of times you see certain things with reality TV shows and stuff, and not like to hate on those women, but like, people think that like, oh, you got to be ratchet to be successful. You're going to be this way. You're going to be that way, or be a certain way for a man to love you. Like, I've had times where my own friends would change who they are for a certain man to love them. Yeah. And it's just like, no.
Well, I think in certain aspects, and this may be off the spectrum, but at times you do naturally change, or actually not.
No,
change.
It's different. It's compromise. Compromise, yeah.
It's compromise and adjustment. So scratch that. I wouldn't have won that battle. What I like about it, not really knowing that much on the surface, I love interracial relationships. It shows growth. It shows that people can get out of their old habits and or not be or fall victim to someone else's beliefs or wisdoms passed down from generation to generation. Like, I love when people like that break the cycle of negativity between ethnicities and races and stuff. So that type of shit is always amazing to me. I'm curious as to know like what their dynamic is, because I know I'm assuming they're very private. Like, I wonder.
Yeah, they were always private. Like, people didn't like. The public, I mean, there was rumors, but the public really didn't know the full scope of their relationship until like they came out and were like, yes. And they did like a full, like, actual, like, legit announcement through his royal family and everything like that, which is pretty crazy. And they literally did an announcement because when they found out that they were dating, there were people like obviously being racist, and they sent out a message saying like, this is it. He loves her. Deal with it, basically. Yeah. And I love that. I'm like, yo, they literally like, yo, shut up. This is who he loves. And from what I heard, like, he does love her. Like, he cares about her. Like, I think he was upset because she was upset about the stuff that was going on with her family. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, yo, that's a real marriage. Like, that is a real love that they have.
So these are marriage goals or relationship goals? Is that still a thing? Because you know how many people have died in relationship wise? You know what I'm saying? Like, where the relationship has just ended. Are we still rolling with these are relationship goals?
I think that's an overused word, kind of like influencer, or Something along those lines. I think that's an overused word because, like, marriage goals, like, everyone has to understand that their marriage is going to be different. So you can't try and force, you know, look at someone else's marriage and then try to epitomize that into your own marriage. And you don't really know what's going on with their marriage either. I just think that, like, people should just strive for pure love and pure happiness. And if you see that and if you think that is goals, great, because that's something that everyone should universally feel.
Definitely.
But I think the problem is when people are like, oh, he got a Benz and she got 100 grand, marriage goals, they're independent. I'm just like, yeah. I just think marriage goals should just be love and happiness.
I agree. Love and happiness.
Oh, hey, okay, bro.
Come on, you don't know about that. Well, speaking of, you know, just shit like this, Meek Mill.
Yes.
Keeping up with him. He was scheduled to go to the White House to talk about prison reform, and Jay-Z talked him out of it.
That's smart.
I originally, when I originally read it, I didn't agree with it. I said, wow, it's a great opportunity. But then I looked at it like it probably wouldn't be good, number one, because it's Trump. And, you know, he's not, you know, he's really not for black folks like that. So why are you going, like, how much are you going to really get done talking to him?
But I mean, we've all seen, like, for example, he already sat down with the kids from the school that got shot up in Florida.
Yeah.
And nothing has really changed.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, you know, I think Jay basically said to him, like, listen, you're not going to get anything out of this meeting probably. So you might as well start from the ground.
Yeah.
You know, I think people are starting to realize, like, there's only so much that you can. There's only so many conversations that you can have with a person or have with someone like Trump.
Yeah.
If things do not change, like,
it's never gonna change.
So you have to kind of figure out, like, what are you going to do on the ground yourself?
Yeah.
And maybe this is something where, like, Jay-Z had that conversation where he's like, yo, if you go, he's just gonna politicize you and say, like, oh, look at all these black people coming to talk to me, like, and you know, it's just like it's not gonna be helpful to him. It's only gonna further help Trump's whole, you know, assessment and look. I mean, they did to Kanye.
Yeah.
So they probably saw that. They're like, damn, yeah, we're not having that happen to us.
That's what he said. He said, Meek Mill said, I was originally scheduled to be a part of a panel prison reform at the White House to help shed light on issues within the system. Unfortunately, the focus turned to President and myself, which concerned me that it might take away from creating a positive result from today's discussion.
Yeah.
As a result of that, I decided not to attend so that the focus would be solely on fixing our prison system. Most importantly, I remain fully committed to improving our criminal justice system, which I think is dope. I think him understanding, again, his platform and the president's platform and understanding how that would pretty much overshadow his actual goal, he put aside. Like, how many people could really say, I'm sure that, and just in my brain, I'm sure there's plenty of people that probably are black that if they had a chance to meet the president, they would go. They wouldn't care. They would put all of anything aside just to say, yo, I met the president. Yeah. He's saying, well, no, I have a greater purpose and I'm really trying to achieve something. And I don't really, if I can't achieve my goal by speaking with him, I don't want to speak with him. I don't feel the need to speak with him. So I think that that's pretty dope.
The great, and I'm saying this in a certain aspect, the great thing about Trump being in office is that people are starting to really realize that you can't solely complain and put so much power into the government to change things. Yeah, no. I mean, not to say that hasn't happened with other presidencies. I mean, of course, there's so many presidents that people probably have talked to, expect change to happen, and it didn't. But I think that because Trump's in office, there's such more transparency and there's more focus, and people are really realizing, like, yo, we can't depend on our government sometimes to make certain changes. We can't, because
isn't that sad though? Like, really think about it.
But I mean, that's the problem with the checks and balance system, because even if there's pros and cons to it. There's pros and cons to the checks and balance. There's obviously to make sure no one becomes a dictator. Yeah. But then it's cons because then sometimes shit doesn't get done because everyone has their own opinions and feelings. But I think, like, now it's like, I think these celebs and certain people are realizing, like, yo, we can't be going to, like, we have a problem. We're gonna have to figure out how we can change it ourselves or build up enough attention or build up enough cry that they're forced to have to do something.
Well, that's the other thing too I find interesting is that with a platform like the president's, and you have that opportunity, it's bad when you turn away that opportunity. Like, you don't even feel comfortable going to the leader of the free world to have a conversation about building and about fixing a broken system. That speaks volumes to me. You know what I mean? You should be able to, especially when he is, I guess, trying to have that relationship. And not for nothing, I'll give Trump credit for at least inviting Meek there and at least trying to have the dialogue.
Yeah.
I just don't think that it would have done any justice. I think he probably would have been using Meek as a pawn, in a sense, just to gain, like, hey, I have somebody else. I already have Kanye. Yeah. I have somebody else in pocket that I can really talk to, that taps into the urban market, that maybe can try to push these goals in my agenda that I have. And I think it's sad that you can't really depend on the leader of the free world at this point.
I mean, honestly, like I said, the best thing that's happened in the situation is transparency, because people may just say, oh, this is, you know, with like the whole fact about like our government not reacting to certain things, they may just say it's solely a Trump thing. No, it's not. There have been previous presidents that said they're going to do stuff and then they never did it. Yeah. So I think like now it's like people are really seeing like, oh wow, like
can't really
depend entirely on it. Like you can't just be like, you know, like you can't just like just cry and go to the president and talk and talk and talk. There's only so much. Like you have to have action, and especially like action and talk that are together brings power. Like those kids who are advocating for you know, gun control and gun reform and everything like that, like they may be talking to the president, but they're still having action behind, they're still pushing behind it. Yeah. And I just think that like people are starting to realize like, yo, we can't depend on him. Like we ourselves are going to have to do it ourselves or find a way to come together to do it ourselves. Yeah. And I love that. I think it's developing more of an environment for us to be actively motivated and actively doing things within our community and doing things to better improve the situation, you know? Because, you know, they're not going to do certain things. They're not.
Speaking of depending, segueing a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
Going back to last week, we talked a lot about Hove and Meek, obviously covering his legal fees. Do we find it a little odd that Rick Ross is a little quiet right now? Like there isn't any real, at least to my knowledge, I don't really see much support from MMG to Meek, like from Ross. Like if you remember when Meek was locked up, he did a lot of free Meek. That everyone did it at that point. I just find it very odd. I don't see the support. Like Meek didn't mention Ross helping with legal fees. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anything is there. I doubt it, but I just found it interesting. Like
maybe it's just a situation where Jay-Z is like, I'm gonna take it from here. Maybe it's something that he had to come in, because like, think about it. Like, did Meek really have anyone to really like, well, okay, it goes back to what we talked about with Cardi B, like having people in your corner that can check you, that can keep you straight, you know, like keep you straight on the line. Mm-hmm. Maybe Jay had to be like, yo, I'm gonna take it from here. I'm gonna make sure he's aligned and he's good, you know? So it could be that situation where he just came in and just, you know, told Rick Ross, like, I got it from here. Yeah. You know, it's possible. Or maybe it could just be what you said, but I don't know. I mean, that's very interesting.
I just found it interesting.
It is.
I found it interesting. He's very quiet right now, Ross, and I don't know what the focus is. It can be totally off basis. He could have done a million things that we are not privy to. But
why is Usher leaning to Jay-Z and not Kanye?
Yeah, I don't know.
You find that weird? I found that weird.
But I just thought it was interesting, especially on that Breakfast Club interview. Circling back to it, he spoke, but he briefly grazed over Rick Ross and spoke more about Hove, and I guess maybe because that's his management. So maybe, I don't know. I just found it to be a little weird. I still find it weird, just what's happening with them. So keeping an eye on that. But yeah, just summing up the whole Meek shit going to the White House. Kudos to him. I'm happy he didn't go. Yeah. Know your platform. Know that you do have power, and know that you don't have to go to the dark side just to try to get some shit done. You know what I'm saying? So like that's fine.
Well, I think what's happening is like when it comes to certain things, I think people are handling the situation as if it was a traditional Republican president, but it's not. Like we all have to realize that Trump becoming president it's a very different situation. Like everything from his campaign to how he became president, like it's not what usually happens. So you can't really handle, like, have we ever seen a president utilize Twitter as much as he has? No.
Yeah.
Social media? No.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like we can't treat the situation as if it's any typical Republican president or Republican candidate. We kind of have to look at it in a different lens.
That's the other thing too. He doesn't even move. He's so not presidential to me.
Oh, of course
like when he delivers State of the Union messages, when he delivers just pressing news things that are happening around the world, he's not very presidential. Like he doesn't carry himself with a certain type of swag. And is swag's a thing? Is swag? No, swag's not a no. I don't know. All right, whatever. I'm trying to. I was talking about this on Twitter. I'm trying to bring myself up to speed with certain things. I'm so out of it with that. But
ain't got the juice.
Well, I'm gonna say swag. I don't really care what you guys think. Swag, but I do think that there is a certain level of swag. Like President Obama, when he spoke, and even down to the way he walked, he was always very smooth. But he's naturally a smooth guy.
Yeah.
And not to say that Trump will ever be that smooth, but as far as delivering pertinent information to the country.
Yeah.
There's a certain way you got to go about it. You know what I mean? Like, there shouldn't be any ums in your sentences. There shouldn't be you bringing up old shit about, other candidates that you ran against. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a certain level of coof when you're above that. And I just don't think that you'll ever get that from him. He's not very conventional.
But, I mean, there's nothing about him becoming president is a usual thing.
Yeah,
like that's what I'm saying. Like we can't treat this situation as if like, oh well, previous president, like even the way that he did his campaign, like no, we haven't seen anyone do anything like that. So it's just kind of like even the way we address any situation, even sometimes how we address situations with him, it's like we kind of have to look at it from like not focusing too much on what past presidents have done and focusing on just like what is he doing now? Because it's just like it's hard. I would say, I mean, the only thing that you can really say is the last time we had an entertainer that was a president was Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like a lot of the other people were lawyers or they were raised within the politics field, or their parents were presidents and they were obviously coming up in that aspect. It's like him. It's like we've never seen this shit before.
Yeah. I don't know, and I'm just counting down the years. Keeping it a buck. I'm really just counting down the years.
Oh my gosh.
I don't pay normally, and I'm not really big into political parties. I don't really get into that because I feel like both sides can be a little twisted and can be manipulative. But I'm so far not even paying attention to anything that's happening within the government now, just because I just can't take it. The news is depressing. He's depressing. It's all depressing.
I think, well, there's certain things we have to pay attention to, like the fact that fucking North Korea is like getting pissed off and shit. Like I'm just
shit like that.
dog.
Yeah, the major things like that are like, you got to pay attention to. Definitely.
And then Russia now like turning on him, and it's just this shit is crazy.
This is really like an episode of 24. If anyone's ever seen 24, I love 24. 24 is like one of my favorite
and
shows.
House of Cards.
And House of Cards.
House of Cards, too.
I swear, this really, really reminds me of House of Cards.
It is.
If for those that, we're not for Kevin Spacey anymore, so we're not watching that. But when you were watching it, it really reminded me about Kevin Spacey's character in House of Cards and how he manipulated all of the parties so he can be in office, and it really is reminiscent of that. So that's actually a really good point.
And how he stepped on people to get ahead, and I still, oh my god, the scene where he pushed the reporter in front of the subway train, that shit is stuck in my head. When that happened, I was like, oh shit. Yeah, that whole scheme. Why'd they have to go and dead ass now? Ever since I saw that scene, I don't stand near the line anymore because I'm like, damn, I don't want nobody pushing me in front of no subway.
Well, call me. This is off, but I don't stand by drains or subways just because of the movie It. I'm serious. So hold on.
Wait, so you're more worried about a clown coming up saying, come play with me. And then not like a person, like a crazy person pushing you in front of a subway?
Yeah, but just humor me. Do y'all not remember the movie It, the original Stephen King movie? Do you remember what happened when the kid was walking by the drain and he... I'm scared of that. I don't walk in grates.
So there's people in the sewers that are just gonna grab you.
Maybe that I don't do that, and I think I mentioned this before, but I can't watch Dead Presidents either.
Why?
Because when I watched that movie at such a young age, and I watched it late one night, and I just remember their black faces being covered. And when they got killed, it was spooky to me. Like when he's running in the alleyway and the car fucking smashes him, and all you see is his face just like bulging out. Like that was scary to me. So I found it hard for me to watch this.
You know what? I get it. If you watched it as a kid, I understand it because that shit scars you for life. Like I freaking watched Chucky. Yo, dolls, nah, B. Especially dolls that talk, nah, B. I don't care. Because I always feel like when you're, especially those antique dolls, they have a tendency to like freaking watch you. Yeah. Like you move from one room to the other, you're like, wait, did his head turn?
That shit's spooky. I was never scared of Chucky though. I still to this day would buy a Chucky doll.
Well, the Chucky doll itself is not scary. I'm talking about just like the Chucky doll made me like not concerned, but scared of like them antique dolls. Like, what is it? What's that scary movie? Is it Isabel? What's that movie? With a doll.
Annabelle.
Yeah. That shit, yeah. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
No. Did you know there's actually it's like a haunted island or a haunted area where it's just filled with a bunch of dolls? And they said that the dolls like turn their heads and look at you and stuff like that.
Do you not remember episode 7 or whenever that was? I stay away from anything haunted.
No. I'm not saying you're there, but I'm just saying, did you know like they actually have a haunted island with dolls and dolls like turn and stuff?
Well, after my whole experience, I know about mad areas like that just because I was curious with that whole experience. Yeah, but
no dolls here, son.
Yeah, no dolls. Fuck that.
Especially the ones that talk. They'll be like, "Hey, Erin." Nah.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Yo, what was that one? There's Furby. What's that one? Is that Furby?
I don't know what it was.
There was that. It was like it was like back in like the 90s or early 2000s. They had the dolls. Yeah, and it's like, "Hi, Erin," and they'll talk to me like, "Oh my gosh,
any
why
doll
aren't you playing with me?"
Talking to me, that's an issue for me.
Yeah, I used to like take out the batteries, put them in my closet, and then even when I did that and they started talking or something crazy, I'm like, "No,
fuck that.
Chopping this shit up." I'm throwing it out.
Say, yo, can we just take a moment to just highlight how ill Angie Martinez is guiding interviews and making her guests feel extremely comkomfortable?
Angie Martinez is honestly.
I wish you would return my text message.
Oh
I've been texting you for weeks, Angie. Goddamn.
She's one of the best. She's one of the best hip hop interviewers.
She really is. Like she is the perfect person.
Oh yeah, interviews. Well, I wouldn't say she's the best for interviews in general. There's some.
Well, no, good conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle. Conversation.
She's top 5. I would say
top 5 conversationalists that I really look forward to when she has these moments that she had with J. Cole.
Yeah.
Like to get someone to feel so comfortable, even when she had the conversation with Mace. She's had a lot of high profile, of course, because it's Angie. But I mean, more recently, she's had some of the more groundbreaking interviews that, you know, you just kind of look at differently. Like she asks the very different questions, and it makes her guests feel extremely comfortable.
Well, so Angie's when I came up in the journalism field, Angie was one of the people that I studied. Mm-hmm. And one thing that, like, especially we're taught in journalism is that, like, when you want to ask a question, but you know they may not answer, it's all about how you word it. It's all about how you put it together. It's even all about how you lead up to that question. Yeah. And how she does it, like, you could tell that it's very conversational, but there's purpose and there's reason towards why she's saying a certain way, why she's doing it a certain way. Like, she's one that I studied when I got into the music media field. I mean, sports, obviously there's different people with sports, but when I got into music media, I studied her. I studied Rob Markman. There's a few others, but like, just if you really pay attention, like, there's purpose and reason behind everything. Yeah. But she does it in a way where it's just so conversational. You get lost. You basically get lost in the combo.
Well, this is the thing. And I looked at her interviews, and then I went back and watched the Charlamagne and Kanye interview again. Mm-hmm. There's certain questions that Charlamagne asks where you directly know what he's trying to get to, and you can kind of weed through it. It's like, yo, so I don't know, what was the medication that you took? You know what I'm saying? Where Kanye's like, nigga, I ain't about to answer that. Like, no. Yeah. I feel like if Angie would have asked that, it would have been different. Like, yeah, I know medications fucked me up. Like, the medication I was using, you know. So, like, she's she can guide people better to get more information out of them. And that's not a knock towards Charlamagne. I just it's really cadence to her genius.
Interviewing is an art form. I always tell people that it is an art form. There are some people that are meant for it and really good at it, and then there's some that aren't quite there. The same way that there are certain people that can really talk their way out of anything and everything. That's an art form.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why, like, for her, she's the kind of person where she can have the conversation, she can interview people, but she can get answers without even asking the direct question.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like she lets them talk. And that's another problem that a lot of people have when they're interviewing people. They don't let them talk.
Yeah.
The one rule we learned was there's so much power to silence.
Definitely.
Like, people feel so uncomfortable with silence that they feel the need that they have to fill it in more.
Definitely.
So when someone stops talking, don't say anything.
We learned that early on, I guess. Like, we would ask one question and they would just go. Like,
you just stop. And then when they finish their answer, you just don't say anything.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, it feels awkward to them. So they're going to fill it in with more. And then you can kind of go. Like, like I said, there's an art form, there's a psychology, and there's even it's all about who you are too.
Yeah.
You know, there's some people that are meant to be great interviewers, and there's some people that just, they do it, but they're not at the caliber of like an Angie Martinez or anything like that. So that's why it's very impressive, like what she does.
So what did you learn from Cole? Because I learned a lot from Cole. I've said a lot that I don't really check for Cole's interviews just because I feel like he's very monotone. He's not really exciting to me, and I know that he's not that type of artist.
Yeah.
But with that said, I think I got a really better understanding of him.
Yeah.
Like, between listening to his message, between listening to the interview, and then between listening to how he just views things, I get why he is. It's probably one of my favorite interviews.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I always tell people is usually the interviews where people find so boring and they don't pay attention to, there's so much context in it. The one thing that really stood out to me that I really enjoy or really liked what he said was why are we focused on mental health? It takes for someone to go into like a loony bin or something like that in order for us to even have conversations about mental health. Mm-hmm. Why aren't we having these conversations before that person even gets to that point? Yeah. And I think he was, that was part of the conversation when he was discussing the stuff with Kanye. Mm-hmm. And then like, I also like the fact that how he talks about how he like meditates and that's helping him. And I just think that like, there's certain things, especially stigmas, that we need to just get rid of. Like, there are famous people that have mental health problems. And mental health, not in the sense of they're crazy, but they deal with anxiety, they deal with depression.
That was the one thing, not to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
I would have never thought that he was dealing with that.
With someone as calm and collected as he is. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, he is always super calm. Like, you never see him, even when he's performing, he performs a certain way, and he has a certain level of energy, obviously, that he gives performing. But I would have never thought in a million years that he deals with anxiety issues and depression and all this other stuff that he's been talking about.
Yeah, it's more,
and with a hint of addiction. Like, he started feeling himself needing substances just to have fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with anxiety though is like that's becoming more prevalent and more people are having that, and part of it is like the change in the work schedules, the change in how the family lives are compared to how it used to be, and just certain things like, I deal with a little bit of anxiety, not to the point where like I have to be dependent on pills, but like what he was saying about meditation, I have to do meditation. I have to do certain meditation practices in order to keep myself at bay, keep myself calm, and I understand him. I understand the aspect of the having to be dependent on things in order to just feel even some level of calmness or some level of, just equilibrium.
Yeah. I also found it very interesting that you said it earlier when he talked about like celebrities. I also found it interesting that he himself doesn't want to be a false prophet and doesn't really want there to be like celebrities. Like he said, he feels like there's gonna come a time where there aren't any celebrities. Like, there's just gonna be people walking around, which I don't know how we would get there.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would have loved for him to go a little bit more in depth, and I know he said he was going to just off air with Angie on his beliefs, but that's so interesting to me to hear someone say that, yo, I think in a few years from now there won't be any celebrities. Like, what will there be?
I mean, that's kind of hard, though, to say because, like, not saying everyone, but some of us are, we're just trained to idolize and to put certain people up on pedestals.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why I never do that is because my parents never raised me to idolize someone in that capacity. They said the only person that you should look up with such a high, mighty feeling is God himself. That's the only person.
Well, yeah, I think about that, right? Because I don't put anybody on that pedestal. But, well, except for Kobe, he's the mama. But outside of that, I don't put anybody on that pedestal. But I think there's levels of that, like to be able to appreciate like certain artists for their artistry.
Yeah.
You kind of in a mix of things, like I'm sure people look, and he mentioned it, people look at him as a prophet of sorts.
Yeah.
But I think you can view people like that just because of the simple fact that you're changing someone's life through experiences and through expression and through music. I think there's so many different layers of it. I just don't. I would have loved to just hear like where his brain is at right now with just not even those types of people not even existing. I
think people, I mean, what you were saying, celebrities in a nutshell are just talented or very business savvy people that have gained the attention of the masses.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. It's kind of like in high school where you have the popular kids. The popular kids are only popular because most of the masses claim that they're popular. Mm-hmm. Some of them are also popular because they're talented and gifted, and some of them are just popular because it is what it is, you know? So I think like when you, like a lot of times, like I always tell people, especially like when, you know, I have people who are asking me, but like, how did you get into interviewing people and how do you handle like, they're just people who are just talented. Yeah. That's it. They're just people who are talented who just got backing, supporting, and just mass support.
But it's like exposure. Like not everyone can deal with that. Like, you know, being around celebrities, people that you see on TV, and you know, I always understand that.
I get that, but it's like you have to. That's okay. It kind of goes back to. You know, I had a discussion with someone because they didn't like your comment on the last episode about Kanye and just like what he was saying, and you know, they were like,
"Can you tell me his name?"
You can go on my gram. I'm just kidding.
Fuck you, out now.
No. But like, just like, you know, I had a conversation with someone and I was like, you know, for me personally, I felt a certain way about obviously the slavery thing. Like that TMZ thing was crazy. But like, even before when he started talking, like we always are basing our feelings and thoughts of people or things on reactionary.
Well, wait,
reactionary responses.
Now I want to know what he said. What was said? Like what?
Okay, so basically along the lines, it was just and whoever's listening, if you're listening, like we're not throwing shade. I'm just showing a little context.
I just want to know. I don't really care.
Just like, you know, I was saying, it was when you said that there was something great that Kanye said before.
Oh, I stand by that. I don't care what you think.
But people were like, but they're only stuck on the slavery thing. And you know what? And I said to them, I was like, you know what? I said, yeah, that slavery thing was crazy. I said, but when I looked at certain context of what he was saying prior to that and what other people were saying, I started to understand. Yeah. And I had to push my own reactionary feelings aside. I said, a lot of times we base our opinions off of reactions.
Just off of reactions.
I said, like, for example, Azalea Banks, what she said was legit.
It's legit.
I just said that she's not the person who should be saying it. Yeah. She's not the appropriate messenger. Yeah. But I think we have a tendency to just be so reactionary, and even reactionary to like how we respond to celebrities. Mm-hmm. How like if a celebrity came by, we'll be like, oh my God, not even thinking or feeling like, okay, are they taking their daughter to class? Yeah. Are they doing something with family? Like I've seen times where people were so reactionary to seeing a celeb that celeb is having dinner and seeing their family for the first time in months, and it's just like.
But that's the thing too. I factor in when your banks or just people of that stature that are trying to. They're fighting to get something out. Yeah. And I think it's only right to kind of do your due diligence to at least weed through. Especially doing what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't know that many people know that there were multiple clips of that Kanye rant. Yeah. Like, TMZ chopped the shit out of that one thing where you just have, even the dude, what's his name? The dude that spazzed on Kanye. What's his name? You guys seen
it pops up. Boop.
Yeah, I can't remember, but even his speech to Kanye was cut off. Yeah. Like there's a whole
dialogue,
gap of dialogue that's missing from there. That's what I'm basing that. I'm not basing it off of that one thing.
Yeah.
So I stand by that. I don't really care.
But what I had the conversation I had with that person, I was like, he's showing us how we're so reactionary to things that we oppose.
Yeah,
I said take out the TMZ thing. I said I thought that was a little bit crazy. But even when I watched the full interview, I still disagree with that stuff. But take that all aside. Even when he started initially saying things, we were instantly just reactionary and just instantly but it's like sometimes we need to listen to people that we don't agree with in order to understand or get some context or to have a different perspective.
Or even have perspective.
And I said, remove the extreme people, remove the racist people. I said, there are people that are just ignorant based off of personal experiences who can be changed from simple dialogue and conversations. And I was like, and we have, and the example I showed was, look, you and I are having a dialogue conversation. You don't agree with what we said or what I said, and I don't entirely agree with what you're saying. But we're having a dialogue, and we're actually coming to a certain understanding when it comes to things. I said that's missing in this day and age, and I said that's the one thing that you can definitely take away from this Kanye thing is how we're so reactionary based, and we could be having these dialogues and conversations that could help us get certain people to an understanding or help us get ourselves to a certain understanding to reach a higher plane when it comes to conversation dialogue.
You gotta be open to those types of conversations. I think, especially as I've gotten older, I used to always be very reactionary.
Yeah, I was as a kid too.
You know what I'm saying? I was very reactionary. I used to take things to heart. Like, if you just take a second, and you don't even have to listen to the message. Or really understand the message, I should say. But
you never should listen.
Listen. But if you just take a second to listen to the message and scale back all of the other shit that's happening in it, you should 100% be able to pick apart things that could matter or may make sense. I just think that that's logical thinking. I know that, common sense is not common. I know that logical thinking is not always common either. So I get that, but I don't really care. But I mean...
you know what? I learned that aspect of it when I think the problem is a lot of times is some of us are not, we're not taken out of our comfort zone or we're not in areas or situations that are diversified.
Yeah.
So like for me, I had to learn that when I moved to Kentucky. When I went to school in Kentucky, different dynamics, different mindset, different way of thinking. And I really had to sit back sometimes and be like, you know what? Like, there were times where certain people asked me, is your hair real? Or are you wearing a weave? And of course, I would, originally I would be like, what the fuck? But then after having a conversation with someone, I had to realize that coming to Kentucky, University of Kentucky, was the first time that this person has ever seen a black person live. Ever.
And on top of it, I would think, all right, that must mean, I'm looking all right. You checking me out.
But for me, it's just like my reactionary aspect is the fact that like all black women have to have a weave. It's like a more generalized thing. But when I had for this person, I realized, okay, I always tell people there's a difference between racist and ignorance.
Yeah.
There's some people who are ignorant because they just haven't been around certain things. And I had to realize, you know what? I'd rather this person ask me a question than go throughout their entire life continue to be ignorant.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I have to take my reactionary feelings back and answer this person's question because this is the first time that they've ever in person are dealing with black people. Yeah. There are certain communities and towns in Kentucky, it's all white people, and that's just how it is. But I just think that like we're in a period of time where like everything is so reactionary. Like there are sometimes people react to things on Twitter without the full information or context, and they just react because everyone else is reacting. Yeah. But they don't. But once they realize, and they find out more info.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So to the person that you were talking to, I stand by my statements. I don't really care. But
more combos, more dialogue. That's all we need.
That's really the point of this. Think objectively is my way of thinking, especially now as I get older. I like to be able to dissect things that are happening, actions, beliefs, words, all of that. I like to be able to dissect it and inform my own opinion or take something from it. I think you can learn from any experience, good, bad, or indifferent. You can 100% learn from it. So, and that's my thing. But back to Cole, and now segueing from the Kanye, what I also learned from this interview is that he clearly didn't take well to Kanye posting his conversation and all that shit. And
Yeah.
you know,
I wouldn't either.
I don't think anybody would at that point. Like you think you're having a candid conversation.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting too, because you can tell that he was let down. Number one, because he was a huge Kanye fan. Number two, he said, you know, at least it seemed like he was more let down because he didn't know how to kind of have the conversation because like, damn, I kind of look at you as like a prophet, but you're letting me down from your beliefs and all this other shit that you're doing. But on top of it, now I'm concerned in the middle of this conversation because I don't know whether I should be trying to help you or whether I should just be kind of sitting back because it's a new experience for me.
I mean, listen, even if on a regular level, I would have a problem if a friend is taking a conversation that's supposed to be A and B and posting it out to everyone. I would have a problem with that. As a friend, your friends should have the safe zone of checking you when you need to be checked.
Definitely.
That's what friends are supposed to do. Good friends are supposed to check you when you wildin'. And then you utilizing that to further prove a point or to use a message. And we don't even know what context. For like example, when he posted even some of the other texts, it was only a portion. You don't know the full conversation that they had. And so that, like, I get it. Like, I would be pissed off too. Like, yo, what the fuck? And even when he called him to make sure his text didn't go up, he still posted the call. It's like, dog.
Yeah.
You know I called you so you didn't air this shit out, and you still did.
I would feel a way about that. I think anybody would feel a way about that, especially when you're growing up a certain way with loyalty and stuff like that. Like that's just something you should know not to do.
That's the code.
Yeah,
that's like when Tristan Thompson was always pressured, trying to throw all the NBA players, saying, "This is what happens to us."
Yeah.
Nah, dog, this is what happened to you.
That's just terrible.
They were like, "What? No, that's not what we do."
I still think he's got to come up with better lies. Like someone's got to help him.
No, own up to your shit. You were caught.
Yeah.
When you caught and it's on video and photos, own up to your
I'm all
shit.
for owning up. I'm saying the lie was just bad. Like you were better off just saying, "Yo, my bad," versus saying, "Yo, they pressured me."
It's like, you know what, in the NBA, I was pressured. There's so many vaginas in my faces.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't say no. I had to be giving. You know, we have to show love. We have to show compassion. That's what Kanye's. No, I was kidding. Yeah, but I can see him literally doing that.
Kanye wanted me to have this vagina.
Yo,
we're
Kanye
sharing.
said,
we're growing.
Kanye said, you know what? We must give love to the enemy, and to some people that's white women, that's Latina women,
and I wanted to be different.
And I had to show love. We had dialogue. You know, y'all didn't see. We had dialogue. We had dialogue for the vagina. That vagina talked to me real good. We had a great conversation.
And I talked back. You
know, sometimes conversations and dialogues, you don't have to move your mouth, though. You know that?
Oh, man. That was great. That was great. Holy shit.
Oh, man. Oh, but speaking of the J. Cole thing, did you see the response from, was it YBN Corday?
No. What I miss?
Wait, you didn't see that video?
I might have seen it.
You definitely saw it.
I drank a lot this weekend. I drank a lot.
Yeah. Hold on. Well, I'm definitely gonna show you this because I think, where's that shit? Who put it in the group chat? Yeah, we got a group chat. We get so much stuff in our group chat. Like, oh my gosh, like. But he was the latest rapper to respond to J. Cole. But like he would be the quote unquote like kids on drugs that J. Cole was referring to. But
not to cut you off before you play that though, but I also found interesting that Cole said that he was inspired by all of these up and coming artists, which I was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it is inspiring. They went against the grain. They went against some of them like, look, they did not need a label to pop off. That is pretty impressive that they built up enough fan base. They got to that point.
But that's to his point. At what cost?
Oh yeah, of course there's
about longevity and you know what I mean. Like Cole will forever be he's transcending to be like a legacy act. Like if he wanted, if this was his last album, he could 100% still just tour off of his bodies of work.
Yo, J. Cole's the artist who would make a song. Yo, he could literally just pay someone else to rap his music at a show, and he not goes, and he'll still be selling out.
Like
that's how much. Like, so this is the.
Young niggas won't listen and we know it, but old niggas always talking, never show it. You gotta practice what you preach, and the classes that you teach will eventually listen. My mind mentally prison. Lately all my idols, they been failing me. Catch a sexual assault and some felonies. Then you want me to listen what you telling me, and wanna hate when we sing our little melodies.
Damn, I'm bugging.
Yeah,
I was drunk. I'm sorry.
He's like, oh shit, how's the one?
Yeah, I thought that was dope.
But I like how he came back with bars.
Yeah,
that's
what I liked about it.
YBN, one of the cats from YBN is the one that dated
correct,
you know,
yeah.
What's her face? That just shows you I don't give a shit about none of this stuff.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I didn't even know like I didn't know that was a direct response to Cole until I actually listened to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I thought it was dope. I salute.
The one thing that I definitely learned, and I've had conversations with artists who are quote unquote, you know, the trap artists, the kids on drugs and stuff, or even some of them are not on drugs like that, but some of them, they said that they can spit bars, but they've had to quote unquote dumb it down because that's just what the masses is into now. You know, that's just how it is. And I think
everyone starts like that though, and maybe not everyone, but the majority of rappers start off trying to be lyrical. I mean, because from the culture and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't put it past a lot of these artists that they don't have bars. I just think that at points it'll never be displayed.
Bohan said that. Bohan said that about the Higher Brothers.
Yeah.
How they first started off with like boom bap, and they build an audience, and then they switched, and then they got the braids and everything like that. But it's just like, don't get it twisted. Some of these cats can spit.
Yeah.
It's just they are just doing what's marketable.
Designer too. Like if you listen to Designer's recent project, like it's not like you can understand him, and he's rapping.
Yeah. I
wasn't really mad at it. At the project, like I was like, holy shit, he really can rap.
Also, I think what probably impressed people also was that I think he might have done with the Breakfast Club, where he broke down like the vowels and what vowels grab the attention. Like,
I'm not no joke of an artist. I really take this thing serious. I take this thing down to science, even down with the vowels and everything. Like the A's and the I's and the U's. I can tell you why songs are hits with the A's, like the A-I, A-I-O. U A-E-I-O. A-E-I-O. You know, sometimes why. And sometimes why. Heck yeah, exactly. And the A is just, I say the A is like the biggest vowel that catches the human ear. You know, so. Break that down for me. What I mean by that is when I go A, it's like enjoyable for your ear. And it's like with songs like Panda and Gucci Gang, when you hear Gucci Gang, what's the vowel that you hear out of gang? It's the A. Gucci Gang, yeah, Gucci Gang, yeah. It's the A. So your ear catches only vowels. So once I understand that and just knew that Panda, it was like Panda, it's the A. I just knew how to make things with vowels and learn how to always keep the A included and keep the I's and keep the G's and make sure the G go, because the G make you go, guh. And that's why I say I get a whole lot of money and just do like things like that and just keep the G's and things like that going on.
You got like, that's why like when a lot of people, you got to give Designer more credit than what some people are giving him, because he really, like, for him to really be that focused and to break down vowels and everything like that, like, and because I've had a conversation with certain people and they're like, because of Panda, they're like, oh, well, he's gonna be gone and this is that. I'm like, I don't know about that. I said Designer really hones in on certain aspects of his music and the edit, like it's just the way that he thinks is very critical. And the fact that he said that Panda focusing on the A for the hook because we focus on vowels, I was like,
it's smart.
That's smart.
I'm one of the people that's guilty of thinking that Designer was going to be out of here only just because of how he was moving. Like,
well, he was quick. He was a quick.
But even outside of that record was so big, and 9 times out of 10, when you're an artist that comes out with that one big, humongous record first time out, if nothing is not. If nothing comes out that's comparable to that or on par with it, it makes it's very difficult to have that one smash and then have another smash, and then like that's when the real work starts.
But that's when you know like he knows his shit. I mean, the only problem with him is that when he came out so quick that he did not develop that loyal fan base that can continue pushing. You know, he didn't have that highly engaged group yet because he came out instantly and everyone was a fan, but he just didn't develop that. That was the only problem. But if he had that highly engaged fan base and that happened, like, dog, it would have been a little bit of a different ballpark. Yeah. Definitely would have been a different ballpark.
Well, I don't know, but 6ix9ine and Casanova, they squashed their beef. The quarrel is over.
The world is once great again.
Word.
The clouds have removed. The water is calm and still.
Yeah, and prior to this show today, I had no idea what happened, so I'm just happy it's over.
Well,
I'm just happy it's over.
Yeah, I don't really know the full. Does anyone know the full extent of their beef or their prior beef? Because I don't really know too much, but I saw some with like the Instagram videos going back and forth, and then I really saw some stuff when Casanova was on the pull up.
Yeah.
But like I don't know like where that really began. I just know that they were trying to like one time were trying to like fight each other or something like hands.
Yeah,
it was about.
Yeah, the whole shit is about 6ix9ine apparently.
Oh.
Yeah, the whole record. I know that was about him.
Yeah, but how did it start? That's what I'm trying to like. How did it? I never know when beef start. I just see them. I'm just like, oh, okay, this person's beefing with this person.
Yeah, I normally do, but I didn't pay attention. So
what does this mean then?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess that they're friends. They were at Club Lust, making it rain on the hose. Yeah, so
them Dallas.
I'm assuming that all is well.
Hoes matter too.
Yeah, they do. So I'm assuming that they settled their beef. Everything is good money. Do we think that music will be coming from these two now? Better question. Do you want to hear a Casanova and 6ix9ine collaboration?
I don't even really listen. I mean, I've listened to Casanova songs, but I don't really listen to 6ix9ine songs. There's only one, but that was one that kind of like was really trending, and I only listened to it because I was curious.
Yeah.
Was it Gummo?
Well, I listened to not Casanova. Well, I listened to Casanova, but I listened to 6ix9ine after the Breakfast Club interview only just because I was curious to hear. And like I said, that kid is talented. He's talented. Say what you want.
It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
that's all.
It's not, but he is talented. I get the
he's
the wave.
But yeah, I just think honestly, like, I think that's good that they made up. Just because I feel like, especially with the beef with 6ix9ine, I feel like there's going to come a point where it was going to get out of hand.
Yeah.
It was just going to get out of hand. Well, someone was going to do something.
It almost did get out of hand. Wasn't there like a shootout or some shit?
Yeah, I guess something like that.
It was already escalating at this point. Yeah, it was already escalating at this point. It's just a matter of time. So I'm happy that, it's resolved. So that's what's up. So,
beefs.
Yeah. Beefs on beefs. Dead.
Gotta love them, gotta hate them.
Basically. So. All right, I mean, that's all we got. Fucking, there's no grand exit today.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you guys thought about J. Cole's interview, Angie Martinez.
Definitely.
Let us know, like, what you learned from it and what you took away from it. And let us know, like, what have you taken away from celebrities in their recent interviews? You know, you have the J. Cole one, you have the Kanye one, you even have the Amber Rose one recently, where she was addressing, what was something? I'm not going to say the name of it, but look it up. She did an interview recently with this guy who just asked some wild questions, but...
Yeah, and then she made a statement saying that fucking meeting Trump, she saw she was like, well, wow, this is like Kanye in a white man's body.
I was like, whoa.
I was like, wow. But I also take a little bit of that with a grain of salt because they've been throwing jabs at each other back and forth. So I know that that's just a petty squirrel that they keep having, but Jesus, what a statement to make.
That is an intense statement. But even still, there's something that you can learn from everything. That's what I always tell people. But let us know your thoughts. Leave a comment. Tweet us. #Grassroots Podcast. Y'all know our usernames too.
Word.
Come at us.
Grassroots Pod, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, GroupMe chat, still forever growing. On the link for that will be in the YouTube description. And it's a good show.
Yeah.
Good show. I gotta find other words. I gotta start researching like cool lingo words that people say. I'm trying to get back in style.
Lingo? Like different slang and stuff?
Is lingo not a thing either?
Like slang?
Yeah.
I feel like, I feel like maybe lingo is for people who are uncomfortable with saying slang.
I gotta get back in these streets.
You're like 4 words away from saying you're jiving.
You jive, turkey motherfucker. You ever That's from Hollywood Shuffle. Hey, what you know about that? Look at Chris.
Oh, Chris is about the culture.
Chris